Hey, this is Roger Martin from Billings, Montana. Good day. This is a clip from Fox News, which has actually been reported on Infowars.com. What I find so appalling is that the freedom of speech by certain individuals, liberal individuals, politicians and otherwise, they wish that they could control conservatives and not let them speak out. I mean, that is scary.
Politically correct enough, or that everyone that would like to do it is now afraid to do it because of the repercussions. But as for the clips that you just played, I mean, look, the simple truth of this is it's showing what the flaw of collectivism, which is basically the idea of judging people based on their immutable characteristics, why it is so terrible and why it has been embraced by the left. You know, you can't be for groups. It actually doesn't make sense because you will eliminate the individual every time. So to say you're for gays doesn't really mean anything, because then when they want to make a joke about you, then they'll make a gay joke. Or to say you're for women, what they don't really, that doesn't mean anything. That's a very low resolution way of saying something. Everyone's for women, let's say, but they're not really for women. Are they for Nikki Haley, a brown woman who happens to be a conservative, who's a strong woman? Of course they're not for her. So to view people through this very obvious and what I would say really is just a dumb and insulting lens, you see it drop. Every time they speak off the cuff, it drops because they don't really care about the individual. And the Ted Lieu clip that you played at the beginning.
The point here is that these liberals don't really care about the groups, especially those groups that are not with them. And this hatred and this bigotry and this deciding to control who can say what is just scary. The fact is, he brings out here so clearly is that groups don't mean much. When you talk about individual situation and individual rights, then the groups don't mean much. So it's a dumbing down way to talk about situations you're really not talking about. And that is scary, to be brainwashed and thinking that way and playing communication that way. It's just not reasonable. He talks about a politician that wants to control the Constitution and what our free speech should be. That is
That
scary.
chilling coming from a government official. It's like the First Amendment is the most precious thing that we have in this country. And I can tell you, as someone that's been on tour for most of the last year, and I've been to 20 some odd countries in the last couple of months, every single country, the people are jealous of the freedoms that we have here, and especially the freedom of speech. So it's like to hear anyone, regardless of whether he's a Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter, to hear any elected official saying that, you know, he'd love to get rid of the First Amendment. Whew, I mean, I can't imagine anything scarier in a free society, actually.
Well, very quickly, I mean, and I don't want to pound on the anchor. I don't even know who it was in that clip, but it was a news anchor whose living obviously is predicated on the First Amendment. Didn't interrupt him and say, "What, I'm sorry, Mr. Elected Official, did you just say you'd like to control people's speech?"
Yeah, well, it's just incredible, and we're seeing an emboldening of this.
So here's a news reporter, and he didn't catch the official say, would you like to control free speech? I mean, I'm a reporter. I'd be out of a job, and I'd be into propaganda totally and completely. Scary, scary times. But they have to be called on it, and we have to fight for our freedoms. There's no two ways about it. And this guy talks about Huber not testifying against the Clinton Foundation. I don't know. It's scary as to what the DOJ. I am still a firm believer that the military will have to be brought in this, that course martials or some type of jury outside of the DOJ will have to take place for the treasonous acts that have been committed by Clintons or DOJ officials, attorney generals, FBI directors, other individuals, other federal judges. It's just scary.
Government running it. Well, that just means eventually people like Ted Lieu will be writing the law, and you know I think it'll codify politically correct ideas. So I think that we need to, you know, I don't know how we can work it, because any attempts to level the playing field on Facebook, I just see it working against us in the long run. You know, I wish that Trump would go and declassify everything in sight. I mean, gosh, I'd like to see the guy take the U.S. Marshals into the Department of Justice and force them to turn over documents, you know, to tell them, you know, you turn them over or you're going to be arrested. But it just shows that even a president of the United States has less power than the bureaucracy, the entrenched deep state. And they've got the media, they've got still most of the FBI, Department of Justice, the intel agencies. The man's up against everything. And, you know, I guess sticking with Trump is the strongest thing we can do. But I'm at a loss for how to get more traction in the information war. Of course, support InfoWars, you know, buy products from the store.
That is what's really scary. The conservative groups don't seem to be getting as much traction as the liberal groups and the major media groups. We're in a minority, but we have to keep fighting, otherwise we'll lose any say-so at all, politically, socially, media-wise. Excuse me, we have to keep fighting. We have to. Our country depends on it. Our freedom of speech depends on it. Our constitutional rights depend upon it. Good news, Roger Mark from Village, Montana. Good day.